G'day and welcome to another episode of Play Media Replay, an audio version of the YouTube series Play Media that I have launched with my good friend and co-founder Chris Derrick with our Play Media business, which is focused on the world of video games and gaming, streaming, and esports. If you're interested in that space, give this a listen. This one's a really good episode where we talk about how brands can reach gamers on mobile, via mobile games, via the different advertising options. If you want to understand that ad tech space, this is a really good episode and explains some of the opportunities for brands to reach fans and gamers in the world of mobile games. And that might include how you might get your brand out there as far as attracting the gaming audience to your sports events or your major events. So please enjoy this episode of Play Media Replay, normal sports geek podcast. Programming will resume shortly. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to Play Media, your gaming growth partner. My name is Sean Callanan. I am joined by my co-host and co-founder, Chris Derrick. Welcome, Chris.
G'day, Sean. Hello, everyone.
The beauty of the internet. No one knows that we've tried this intro 3 times. We will never tell anybody. Let's get stuck into the show with what caught my eye. This week, we saw Valorant Riot Games launch their first Strike tournaments around the world, and one of the things that did catch a bit of commentary in the world of esports was Riot Games coming to an agreement with a couple of major streamers to co-stream the event. Ninja and Myth are 2 massive streamers, and they effectively watched along the official broadcast, but they actually dragged in even more audience than the official broadcast. So it's really started, I guess, some really good conversation on what's the value of co-streaming, how esports titles, especially new ones like Valorant, can use streamers to boost audiences. If I look at some of the stats, Myth and Ninja brought in, more than the actual North American broadcasts when you look at some of the stats. Some of the opportunities there. Did you see some of the chatter around that, Chris?
Yeah, I did see a little bit of it. I mean, this sort of thing has been happening for a long time in the smaller tournaments, the community casting, where it's a great way to get broadcast of games that wouldn't normally be broadcast, say, in the main channel or something. But it's had a bit of a mixed reaction. So it's an interesting one. And it's maybe worth, Sean, just explaining what's the difference between a co-stream and something like a watch party.
Yeah, so a co-stream is effectively where a streamer takes the official feed and then effectively just provides their own commentary over the top of it, whether it's alongside the current commentary or completely doing their own commentary altogether. So I actually co-streamed a couple of Gravitas games earlier this year to provide a completely different point of view of like explaining the game to a new audience. So that's one way of doing it. But in this case, it was really some of the uproar was that Riot only appointed 2 streamers. They wanted a bit of a wider audience. But the balance becomes, and some of the conversation then becomes, well, hang on, what about the broadcast sponsors? How are they appeased? Yep. And then the streamer will have their own sponsors. So I think there's some real opportunity for it to drag in new audiences, and that's where brands get involved. But then I think some of those conversations around the commercial deals and protecting sponsors and reporting analytics is something that still needs to be developed.
When it's done in conjunction with the streamer and the tournament or event organizer, it's a great way to extend the audience, and that has a benefit for the brand. When it's more of a watch party and that streamer is sort of just doing their own thing, then potentially, like you say, some of the sponsorships and the integrations don't come through. The messaging isn't as clear. So it's I think we'll see more of this type of thing. But if you're looking at sponsoring esports events or leagues and those things are being broadcast, then it's just one thing to take into account in terms of what their strategy is and how they're amplifying the broadcast with these streamers.
Yeah, and I think it's not a regular thing. I don't think we're going to see Ninja and Myth be streaming Valorant games every time a new tournament comes together, but it's a really good tactic around some of those key events, whether it's a season opener or a big game, to bring in a streamer to just again, drag in new audience. They're there to watch the streamer, and then,
Yeah.
hey, they might start watching that game in the same way that, influencers have been used in multiple platforms and multiple industries.
And I think it's a bit of a COVID response as well. A broadcast might bring in one of these guys for special comments normally, and the audience comes along with them within the official broadcast. This is a way to get around that. You can't get them in the studio or something, so you have them stream it as well. One thing we should mention as well is that what's quite unique with Twitch and live streaming on things like YouTube, Facebook as well, is we have seen some examples of the different sports getting involved in this space. And the NBL have done it. The NBA have allowed streamers to co-stream some of their games in the past. We see more of the American sports in particular selling rights to Amazon and to Twitch to put games on there. And so I think, there's other ways that you'll see this grow and expand more in the future, not just in gaming, but traditional sports. We see the rise of chess or poker on these platforms as well. Other games like that, there's lots of different use cases for it.
And I do think that branded content, sponsored opportunity will come where you bring in a partner, you bring in a streamer, and they will provide, that different point of view for your game or for your content. So, I think co-streaming is something that's going to be talked about a little bit more in 2021 as a way to, give variety to your audience and bring new fans to your product. Want to get stuck into the next segment. The next segment is called Explain the Game. This is where we dive in and talk about a particular video game from a marketer's point of view, get you to understand the game and how you might play, use the game, activate with the game. This week's game is Among Us, one of the hits of 2020. Chris, you want to give us a bit of a rundown of what is Among Us?
Yeah, Among Us at its core is a pretty simple multiplayer game. It's a bit of a whodunit murder mystery where everyone is on a space station together and has to complete little mini tasks, and a couple of the players are imposters. Their job is to go around and kill everyone else without getting busted. And after each death, everyone comes back together and talks about it and tries to figure out who the imposter is. So it's been, like you say, one of the hits of 2020. It's really taken off in that multiplayer social space. A lot of the streamers continue to still stream a lot of Among Us, and I can talk from my own point of view. It's taken over the playground. My kids like to play it out in real life. So the real social buzz of 2020, I think.
And the thing is, it wasn't a game that was actually launched in 2020. It's been around for a while, but it was really I guess the tipping point of lockdown, COVID, isolation, wanting to still get together with friends in a relatively easy manner. And it's almost attributed to the stunning growth in Discord, because most of the game is trying to figure out who is the imposter. So you get your headset on, you'll set up a voice channel in Discord while you're playing to try to figure out, like you said, who done it.
And just for those that don't know, Discord is like Teams or Slack or Skype even, but really one that's focused on gamers and the one that the gamers go to first and foremost. So like you say, massively as well, and it's been tied hand in hand with Among Us.
And so one of the things that caused a lot of the growth, showing a video here of Mr. Beast running a competition with a whole bunch of streamers where, PewDiePie and a whole bunch of others playing a game, playing Among Us to try to figure out who won. And he put $100,000 on the line. Nothing like some high stakes gaming to drive the eyeballs. But this was the primary reason that it got so big so quick, because the streamers were using it as a content platform, doing live streams, but then cutting up videos like this. It really shows how, we discussed last week, how the streamers can really move the needle on what is a popular game.
Yep, absolutely.
And then the other thing of note was AOC, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, as part of the US election, effectively just tweeted out who wants to play some Among Us on Twitch, and had 400,000 people watching her play Among Us on Twitch as a means, and again as a means to market to tell people to vote. So it just sort of shows you, I guess, the influence of jumping on these games at the right time can get you some
Yep.
real attention.
Yeah, and she just put that out there on her Twitter, and then a lot of the big gaming streaming influencers all responded back, and pretty soon she's playing with Pokimane. We've talked about her in the past, one of the biggest female streamers in the world. A lot of the other top Among Us streamers at the time, all playing with AOC, listening to her spread her message of getting out and vote and registering.
So one of the things we like to do in this segment is go through the Play Media playbook. In some of the options for brands. Are there options for brands to get inside the game, Chris?
Not at the moment. Like you say, this game's been around for a few years, but really only took off this year. We haven't seen too much sort of in-game stuff, but we know they're working on new maps. Who knows what sort of options that will come along down the line.
So will Among Us become an esport?
Look, I don't think so. It's not really geared that way. There's some competition amongst the streamers about who's the best and who can always win as being the imposter, but I don't think it will take off in any sort of competitive
scene. I think
just
like that video. It's more of a gimmick to create a cool video as far as someone is going to win a little bit more. But yeah, it's not really an esport as such. Can you get? Is there ads in the game? Can you get some ads in the game?
Not at the moment. No.
Streaming is obviously one of the criteria we look at the playbook.
Yeah.
This is like tick, tick, tick. This is all about streaming, isn't it, from Among Us?
Yeah, and there's not so many sort of offline or bespoke events happening, but we are seeing brands put on their own events utilizing streamers. So last week here, one of the computer manufacturers had a stream night where they invited a bunch of their stream team and some other streamers to come on board, play the game to their audiences for a few hours, all brought to you by that gaming brand. And I think that could easily extend out into other non-gaming brands across lifestyle, fashion, food, what have you. That's a really great way to use Among Us.
And then the thing is, from events, I mean, other than your kids playing in the playground, there is real opportunity for these online events, like we saw with AOC, like we see with Mr. Beast, to have these stream nights where you bring people together. And it is the type of game that you could see people, being in an esports venue, cheering it on, yelling out, because it's like a modern day pantomime. Like, it's like, no, you could hear the people screaming out, who's the imposter? So it does make for that really good viewing experience.
But it is a pretty low entry game. Like the skill is in your cunning and your ability to convince people that you're not the imposter. So it's not about how skilled you are mechanically with the keyboard and the mouse. So I think for brands that are using influencers across other categories, sport or music or other celebrities, getting them involved if you want to do stuff in gaming is a really great way as well to use Among Us.
Yeah, exactly. Like we might reach out to the comedy festival. It's a great one to get a couple of comedians that play games. To have a bit of banter backwards and forwards. It would be a great way to activate and get people around either a brand or coming to an event. And IP wise, we're starting to see Among Us sort of seep into fashion and a few different designs and a few different things, but it's sort of slowly happening.
Well, yeah, I mean, one thing I'd probably say is that what they've done really well is their social media around the launch and around how they've then engaged with people. I think that you're right, that'll start to lead into some IP usage. I should just do is just give a plug to Play Media's Discord channel. If anyone wants to jump on board and come and play some Among Us with Sean and I, we're happy to show off our excellent gaming skills.
Yes, excellent. In air quotes there, but you're right. It's exactly what it's built for. So that allows me to hit the transition button and go to the big question, where we tackle a big topic that media and marketing executives will be facing around the world of gaming. This one is all about how can brands reach gamers on mobile. So it's all about mobile gaming. I want to kick off with a big question, with a big stat. Recent studies, 57% of Australians now play games daily on their mobiles. And it's always the one that brings more people to the equation when you say who considers themselves a gamer. When you've got nearly 60% of Australia playing games, it becomes a really wide and diverse market, doesn't it?
Yeah, I saw a stat yesterday from YouGov 24% of mobile gamers play for 5 hours a day. So that's a lot of time on your screen, on your device. And there's lots of different ways to bring your brand into that environment. But like you say, the Candy Crush player is probably different to the PUBG player, who's different to the Minecraft player. There's lots of different games in there. A lot of the traditional or the console or PC games like Minecraft or Roblox or Fortnite, Call of Duty, they've all got a mobile version. They've all got large audiences there. Sometimes they cross over. People play the same game on different devices, and other times they're completely different audiences for the different devices as well.
And I think mobile games is a really good way to describe and a real important segment. Like, from a Play Media point of view, people say we want to get into video games, and they come with a preconceived idea that it is consoles. Oh, it's PlayStation, it's Nintendo, it's Xbox. And then other people go, oh, hardcore gaming, it's PC. And a lot of the time they completely forget about the mobile game, landscape. And, nearly 60% of Australians are playing mobile games. And so it's got, a game for everyone across multiple platforms. The audience, we've discussed different types of audiences before. The audience is far more diverse in the mobile gaming space, both from an age point of view and a gender point of view. And then the other thing I think that I like and I think is attractive from a from a marketer's point of view is there's a lot more ad options in the mobile gaming space, because a lot of the mobile games are powered by freemium. As you don't know, freemium is when you get a game for free, and it is powered by ads, and then you can obviously exit out of that. But a lot of the revenue is powered by those ads. So the ad networks and the ad options for brands are very much there right away. So it's a really easy way to get in to the world of gaming.
Yeah, I think that's true, but I do urge brands to be cautious about what ad networks or what apps that their games are going into, and just making sure it's the right fit for them. There are definitely premium app experiences where you can get really great video ads or rich media ads, interactive ads within them. And they have really high view rates. They have strong click-throughs. At the other end of the spectrum, it's you kind of got your Google Exchange ads put within an app, and sometimes those things are put there to almost disparage you from or take you away from the app or take you away from the experience you're having within the game. So I agree with you. It's a great way to get involved, particularly on that ad side. I just use a bit of caution when doing the planning around that.
Oh, completely. But then the other part of the ad options is also the integrations with apps. We spoke about Pokemon Go recently, the fact that you can actually get your IP inside the game. So there's a lot of options in that space. The other thing that I wanted to touch on with mobile games and why I guess I'm so bullish on overall is some of the announcements of the new products that are coming out. And so one of those products is Backbone, and we've seen it's go really hard launching its product via a whole bunch of streamers. We've spoken about some of these guys previously. They're all with Click, Laserbeam, Fresh, Muselk. They've all been, they've backed this new mobile gaming product, which is effectively an add-on for your iPhone. So you effectively clamp it onto your iPhone, and you're playing your mobile games as you would with a PlayStation or Xbox device. So I think as the tech rolls out and as more developers create things for mobile platforms, and you get tools like the Backbone, I think more and more people will just treat their mobile device as a gaming console effectively.
Yeah, I think there's kind of two use cases for mobile gaming quite broadly. One is a sort of a time filler when you can't be at your main gaming device, or if you don't have or don't want a main gaming device. And the second one is for those people that that don't have that device. So if you haven't got a console, you haven't got a PC, but you want to play well. Some of the more intricate or mechanically focused games where maybe you have to aim and shoot or move and what have you at the same time, then an accessory like this can really help and really improve your skill and your enjoyment playing the game.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's going to make the mobile phone, whether it be Apple or Android, a competitor to the Switch. And so that's just going to continue to, I guess, open up the genre overall, have more people playing games, and then, then what are the opportunities for brands? Well, I think there'll be opportunities, one, to be inside the game, but then what does, activations look like? Will we see more, gaming people playing games around activations? Will we start seeing more brands start to try build their own games? There's a lot of options in the space.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see how this influencer campaign goes. A lot of the people that they're utilising are well known for playing PC in particular, but also console, not really mobile gamers. They've obviously got big audiences and they'll get a lot of reach in that promotion. How that translates into sales for Backbone, be really keen to understand.
Yeah, it's not a bad way to launch, to have 80 million, I should say, subscribers, learning about your product via some streamers. So I think there'll be a few other people watching that product launch with interest to say, could we do it in that way as well? What we want to do, so that's the world of mobile gaming. If you want to talk more about mobile gaming and how it's gonna continue to grow, please reach out. What we do now is we talk about busting some myths. We've done that over the last couple of weeks, and we want to keep doing that, keep educating people. This one is one that I think came up and definitely got busted during COVID, but it still needs to be addressed, is that gaming leads to social isolation. What are your thoughts? You've heard that one, Chris, to say don't let...
Yeah, I think it's one of those long-standing misguided cliches about the gamer. Is it's the teenage boy in the dungeon all alone, and certainly when we were growing up, the only way you played multiplayer games was to have your friends come around and or your siblings and all be sort of all plugged into the same device. But these days, most games are online, and a lot of the socialization that happens with the gamers is happening online. And so it's totally a myth. Any gamer you talk to will say that they're incredibly social, just as social as anyone else, and they love to play online. Yeah. They love to play with their friends.
And the thing is, you've got the evidence of like a game like Among Us that is exactly built for social interaction. You've got the rise of Discord, where players are using that to be their pseudo voice channel if a game doesn't have it integrated. Yep. And then the other thing is two things that are on our head now. People are on Zoom calls, Teams calls, Skype calls all year. Just take notice how many times people are not wearing the daggy office headset. Everyone's upgrading to a gaming headset, and it's got a microphone. Yep. It's just not just the headphones. Because more people are talking while they're playing games.
Yeah, and anecdotally, I'd say to anyone who's watching, who's got kids, teenagers or younger, they've got their friends online and they're playing with them. Some of them are the friends from school or the neighbourhood or their sports team or what have you, but others are friends that they're making online as well. Now, obviously, for younger kids, you want to keep an eye on the safety of that, but this is how this generation is growing up in this completely digital environment, and that's completely second nature to them to play these games in a social way like this.
Yeah, and and it just changes. People are changing, passing on their gamer names or their Discord names as opposed to their phone numbers. So their communication is still definitely happening. So gaming does not lead to social isolation. Another myth busted. Lastly, Play Media Insights. Well, I'll look at a couple of things that are happening in the world of gaming and video games this week. Each week you can get the email, Play Media Insights. If you go to weareplaymedia.com, you can sign up for that email. But one of the things we wanted to talk about this week, really can't avoid it. We're recording this on the launch day of Cyberpunk 2077. Why are gamers super excited about Cyberpunk, and Why should brands know about it?
Look, I mean, the hype is real on this one. 8 years in the making. I think even back to PAX 2018 and the queues around the booth just to be able to see some of the gameplay footage of Cyberpunk were probably some of the longest queues at the whole event. It's been delayed a number of times. It was meant to come out earlier in the year, and 3 or 4 times it's been pushed back due to the development issues around COVID and other things. Highly anticipated, open world, real play RPG game. And like you say, we're on launch day. I checked in on Twitch just before we started filming. Over 1.1 million people watching. 1,000 on YouTube as well. It will definitely be the most hyped game throughout the rest of December and the Christmas period.
And that's the thing. It's exactly the same as when a new blockbuster movie, comes out. It's not about, hey, how do we have our soft drink bottle in that movie? It's like, how do we be part of the conversation? So whether it's partnering with streamers who are playing the game, or getting your talent playing the game, or talking about it on your channels, I think that's the bit to understand when these new big games come out. They're a franchise in themselves, and then the hype machine, whether it's been manufactured or otherwise, is a little bit out of control. And if you've reading some of the reviews so far and some of the options that you've got, they've tried to make it as realistic as possible, right down to how you would design every part of your avatar. And when I say that, every part of your avatar, I won't go into, hopefully we don't have any photos and pictures coming up on the screen. So there's obviously concerns that, some brands, we've talked about brand safety before, to figure out whether they should be involved or how they would leverage something like Cyberpunk 2077. What do you say to that around that piece?
I think, I just go back to the streamer piece for a minute and talk about, you talk about like the hype of a game like this. There are a lot of streamers that will be engaged by the publisher to stream a game when it launches. Cyberpunk is such a big, hyped up game that even those that haven't got those deals will be streaming it. And so whether you're using those streamers, whether you're trying to do something directly with the publisher, it's a great way to get involved. And it doesn't necessarily need to be doing things in-game. We've seen some fashion brands doing some stuff, putting the Cyberpunk IP onto apparel. That's a really great option for the fashion and lifestyle brands. There we see lots of collaborations with trainers. I saw a recent Nintendo Super Mario one. Can easily see something like Cyberpunk happening there. McDonald's or other QSRs. Lots of different brands to get involved in this one.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's just really being around the hype. So whether it's doing a giveaway or a competition to get a copy or get an experience around it, I think that's where the opportunity lies for this game and any other game that comes up that starts getting this kind of hype. That's what I'd be looking for from a marketer's point of view. So that's it for Cyberpunk. Obviously you're looking forward to be able to download it and get playing it later today.
My copy is in the mail and I'm constantly updating my tracking, so I'm very much looking forward to playing it later today.
And then the other thing that I wanted to sort of bring people's attention to was an acquisition. We're seeing a lot of acquisitions in the tech space, Salesforce buying Slack, and the aggregation of communities being acquired by big companies. This one caught my eye, which was Microsoft acquiring SmashGG. SmashGG is an esports, grassroots esports gaming platform. Allows you to organise tournaments and set up schedules to run your own, effectively, grassroots esports. And so it gives Microsoft some real options to really dive in and tackle that grassroots scene. And we've seen brands actually use SmashGG to run their own branded tournaments across multiple titles. So I think it's exciting. I mean, some of the competitors for SmashGG would be Battlefy, Faceit, Mogul, and even in essence a big player like ESL that run those kind of grassroots leagues. It's just going to give Microsoft even more access to gamers that they've got from consoles to games, and now they can reach grassroots gamers.
Yeah, and they obviously own the Xbox, and that's got a massive user base across lots of different console games. They own Minecraft as well. We've talked about the popularity of that across lots of different devices. So it'll be interesting to see if they try to integrate or create some esports around Minecraft, but what sort of competitive options this adds to things like Xbox games as well, or do they keep it completely separate? Who knows? It's a really interesting one to see what happens.
So that's it. We've got through the episode. We haven't had any internet issues. This is where we get to the awkward ending. We've had this is episode 4, and every time we've stuffed up the ending. So we try not to jinx it, and I'm trying to stretch it long enough. Hopefully, Chris's internet's still working. Chris, how can people reach out to you on the internet? What are the best platforms?
Always open to emails, chris@weareplaymedia.com. Get me on LinkedIn, Chris Derrick, or tweet at me. I am Chris Derrick.
That's the way. And yeah, send us a message. I'm Sean Callanan on Twitter. Sean, it's weareplaymedia.com. Reach out to us on LinkedIn. We're sharing some of the snippets of these episodes on our LinkedIn, and also please join our Discord. We'd love to see you there. What we have been doing is some of the insights, some of the things, some of the trends that we're seeing that we're talking about on the show, we are putting into our Discord, sharing on the different channels around gaming, around esports, and the like. So please join us at We Are Play Media. Until next week, my name is Sean Callanan.
I'm Chris Derrick, and I think we nailed that.
Oh, there we go. That's definitely a quote we're going to use going forward. Thank you for listening to this Play Media replay. Remember, these episodes are coming out on the Play Media YouTube channel. You can find that at weareplaymedia.com. As always, if you want to look at the world of video games, gaming, streaming, esports, this is where I'm going to send you to the Play Media work. That's where I'm going to be doing that kind of work. Still be doing everything Sports Geek with clients around digital and activations and the like, but anything in the gaming space will be under the Play Media banner. Go to weareplaymedia.com.